Morant with a running start. Elevate! Oh, it dunks! Oh, my goodness!
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn. His heat is gone! Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining. Conley now with three. Count it! A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance.
Adams going long. Morant! He hit it! Ja Morant! Insanity!
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. Grizzlies win edition. My name is Keith Parrish. The Grizzlies, led by one of Ja Morant's finest performances of the season, completed the season sweep of the Suns on Monday night. The story of the game, beyond Ja Morant, though, was the supporting cast, the unexpected supporting cast. The Grizzlies got big contributions from Huff, Cam Spencer, Lamar Stevens, and Marvin Bagley. Some unlikely heroes in this one as the Grizzlies pick up their third straight win. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about those performances and the victory. Before I do, just a reminder, if you want to support this program, you can do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. You can join up for $5 a month and be a part of the listener Slack channel. We have a Grizzly-specific Slack channel over there. Also, if you join up, you get one monthly bonus episode. So, if you're a regular listener, consider helping out. Patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. All right. The Grizzlies get the win, and they were very short-handed once again. Of course, no Jaren Jackson Jr. still. No Santi Aldama. No Luke Kennard. I was wrong. My hope that maybe he was held out Sunday so he could play Monday. No, still out. But then there were three other players questionable on the second night of the back-to-back. Zach Edey, Brandon Clark, and Vince Williams Jr. All of them were held out. What did that mean? That meant the Grizzlies started J Huff. Gigi Jackson started. Got his first start of the season. And because of that, you ended up needing maybe some unexpected guys to step up, such as Cam Spencer, Lamar Stevens, Marvin Bagley, and the like, and they absolutely did. Now, while starting a strange starting lineup, Ja and Desmond, Jalen Wells, and then Gigi Jackson and J Huff, the Suns jumped out to an early lead. They led by 16 in the first quarter. Kevin Durant was on fire. But even in that first quarter, we started seeing some glimpses of what Marvin Bagley could provide. Of course, Marvin Bagley was just matching salary. If Marvin Bagley's contract went into next season, he would not have been part of the Marcus Smart trade. They did not, in my opinion, necessarily trade for Marvin Bagley, the player. They traded for the expiring salary. But they did at least give him a chance here because of all the injuries. And in that first quarter, you saw him attacking the offensive glass. He missed some of his shots early in this game, but he's a good offensive player. But I felt like his energy attacking the offensive glass was an early glimpse of what he could provide and what he ended up providing later in the game in the second and the third quarters. When we get to the second quarter, well, then the story of that quarter is Cam Spencer. Cam Spencer goes off in the second quarter. He makes three three-pointers, scores 11 points in just the second quarter. And then the Grizzlies begin fighting back, cutting in to that Suns lead. After shooting just 33% from the field as a team in the first quarter, they end up scoring 31 points in the second quarter. The Suns end up being ahead by just 2 points at halftime. Now, the third quarter starts off well for the Grizzlies. J Huff makes a couple of three-pointers. Gigi Jackson gets going. Gigi Jackson has a great third quarter. He makes 2 3-pointers in the third quarter, also gets a deflection that leads to a fast break dunk for him. Ja Morant is assisting Marvin Bagley again on these alley-oops. Marvin Bagley, by the way, is proving to be, or in one game, he proved to be a missing alley-oop threat for the Grizzlies. Like Brandon Clark doesn't get up as high as he used to, and he will finish sometimes, but usually he's not dunking it anymore. Zach Edey is not really the alley-oop threat that maybe I thought he could be. Marvin Bagley is the first time we had a real leaper, a real dunker down in the dunker spot, and we saw it multiple times. Ja hit Marvin for these alley-oop dunks. One of the times, Ja accidentally threw the ball into the basket trying to hit Marvin Bagley on an alley-oop. But anyways, the third quarter starts off great. The Grizzlies have a 19-7 run. They end up scoring 38 points in the third quarter. It feels like maybe they're starting to take control of the game. Unfortunately, the Suns, they bounce back. They keep coming. They have their own run to cut into the Grizzlies' lead. And then the third quarter ends with a little bit of fireworks, tiny bit of fireworks. Cam Spencer steals a pass from Kevin Durant, and then a few seconds later hits a three-pointer in the corner to end the quarter. But he, let's be real, acts a tiny bit insane, starts yapping at Kevin Durant, gets in his face, trash talking. The two teams come together. Eventually, there are offsetting double technical fouls. I mean, it was all fun and games. But Cam, now for the second time against the Suns, has gotten in the face of one of their top players. The last time it was Devin Booker. This time, Cam was being a little, as Ja Morant would say, psycho in the way he was acting towards Kevin Durant. But anyways, it is not a comfortable lead at the start of the fourth quarter, and then the Suns actually begin the fourth on a 6-0 run and take the lead. And it's back and forth, although the Grizzlies do have the lead for most of the fourth quarter. And it felt like because of Ja Morant's heroics down the stretch, I mean, he kept scoring down the stretch. He got more spectacular reverse layups. He had that breakaway dunk where he went up and threw it down with Grayson Allen trailing. But despite that, it still comes down to the final possession. The Grizzlies have trouble getting the basketball in. I'm not sure why our best free throw shooter, Desmond Bane, is throwing the inbounds pass. I guess maybe he's the best passer, but he leads Scottie Pippen Jr. too far. Ball goes out of bounds. Kevin Durant, who had an amazing game, who was 7 for 8 on three-pointers before the final attempt. Kevin Durant has a chance to win the game. He misses it at the buzzer. The Grizzlies escape with the win. The Grizzlies win all 4 games against the Suns this year. By the way, Kevin Durant had a chance to win the last game. The last time the Grizzlies and Suns played, he missed a shot, a three-pointer at the end of regulation that would have won the game. So the Grizzlies escape, and I haven't mentioned Ja Morant's name really enough. I'll get to all of the supporting cast, but Ja Morant was really good in this game. And last episode, I knew he was scoring, and I was pointing that out, but the efficiency just hadn't been there. And I wasn't totally sure he seemed like himself still. This was a game where I'm like, okay, that is the Ja Morant that we need and we love. This was an excellent game from Ja, who finished with 29 points. He also had 12 assists. If you want to read the body language, it felt like he was having fun out there. He also made a notable stat. I was seeing how he was 9 for 13 from the field. Very, very efficient. But he was 1 for 5 on his three-pointers, meaning he was 8 for 8 on two-pointers. He was also 10 for 10 from the foul line. This is just the third game of Ja Morant's career where he shot 100% from the foul line with at least 10 attempts. The other one was, or one of the other ones was that 14 for 14 game earlier this year. But I was looking at his stats thinking, wow, he didn't miss a two-pointer. That's incredible. And not only did he not miss a two-pointer, he didn't miss a free throw. So then I started looking it up. This is the second game of Ja Morant's career where he didn't miss a two-pointer or a free throw. The last one, he was 3 for 3 from the line. It was a game against the Rockets a couple of years ago where he was 10 for 11 from the field overall. But then I started wondering, how many guys have ever shot that many free throws and that many two-pointers and not missed any? And it turns out only 9 other players had. This was the 10th game in NBA history where a player has taken at least 8 free throws and 8 two-pointers and made them all. So that's a little bit impressive. But regardless about the cherry-picked weird bit of trivia there. I thought this was one of Ja Morant's best games of the season. And maybe you can say it's because you're playing the Suns, which is a good pushback. The Suns' defense has been bottom 5 all year. Now, for the Suns side of things, you got to feel kind of sick if you're a Suns fan because you got beaten. All right, it's one thing if Ja Morant has an awesome game. That's going to happen. But you got beaten basically because complimenting Ja Morant's game, Lamar Stevens made a career-high 4 3-pointers. Cam Spencer made a career-high 4 3-pointers. Jay Huff wasn't a career-high, but still, Jay Huff made 4 3-pointers. Jay Huff has gotten a DMP something like 9 times this month or over the last month. Cam Spencer, of course, is a rookie on a two-way. Career high made threes, career high points, career high 3 steals off the bench. And he's yapping at our guy, Kevin Durant. And to make it even worse, all right, Lamar Stevens, 10-day guy, career high made 3-pointers. But making it even worse, the Suns made 3-pointers. The Suns hit their own 3-pointers. The Suns made 20 3-pointers on 38 attempts. That's 53%. NBA teams all time that make at least 20 3-pointers and shoot 50%, they win 91% of their games. They're 293 and 30 all time. And what I think makes it more painful if I'm a Suns fan, the Suns already did this the last time they played the Grizzlies. The last time they played the Grizzlies, they made 21 threes and shot over 50% on 3-pointers. In Grizzlies franchise history, there have been 24 times that one of the Grizzlies' opponents has made at least 18 3-pointers and hit 50% or more of those 3-point attempts. The Grizzlies, they were 0-22 in those games until the last 2 Suns games. Now they've won 2 in a row. Last 2 Suns games, again, they are 41 for 76 combined against the Grizzlies on 3-pointers and lost both of those games. I'd be sick. And then I'm watching Cam Spencer run his mouth. Jay Huff, Lamar Stevens banging 3-pointers. Now, the Suns defense, for as much as we criticize it, they did apparently, at least to me, make a conscious decision not to guard out on the perimeter for the 3-pointers taken by Lamar Stevens. They were daring Lamar Stevens to shoot. Seems like an okay strategy. It backfired on them. Nick Richards and Mason Plumlee were not running out on. They were not doing a good job of helping out on shooters like Cam Spencer. They were not going out to Jay Huff, and it burned them. But anyways, the Grizzlies somehow survive despite those wild numbers. And I do want to just, again, emphasize Marvin Bagley ends up closing the game for the Grizzlies. Ends up with 2 dunks. I also liked his 3 offensive rebounds. Also, he blocked 2 shots. So 9 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks for Marvin Bagley. I haven't even mentioned Desmond Bane. This was a subpar game for Desmond Bane. He only had 10 points, had 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. But Jay Huff had 14 points with those 4 made 3-pointers. Gigi Jackson, 14 big points in the start. I mean, Jalen Wells, I haven't mentioned him because Jalen had a rough game. Jalen only made 1 out of 9 of his field goal attempts. He was 0 for 5 on 3-pointers, played 23 minutes. But the bench, I mean, Lamar, Cam Spencer, Marvin Bagley, then Scottie Pippen Jr. Scottie Pippen Jr. was also one of the guys closing the game for the Grizzlies. Another extremely active and effective game for Scottie off the bench. He had 13 points. He had his 4th straight game with at least 2 steals. So he had 2 steals in this game. Also had 2 assists. And you compliment everyone who contributed. This is a great team win. Also, by the way, John Conchar played. I was hosting a Grizzlies watch party in Nashville. Thank you to everyone who came out. I was wearing my John Conchar shirt. I put it back on to record this episode. I wore my John Conchar shirt thinking, hey, we're very short-handed. Konchar's going to play a lot. No, Konchar only played 6 minutes. They went with Lamar Stevens and Cam Spencer and Marvin Bagley. Those guys really delivered, really came through when it mattered for the Grizzlies. Now, as much as we feel good about maybe an unexpected win with those contributions from those unexpected sources, there are some concerning numbers that I do think we need to highlight. Like, once again, the Grizzlies fell behind. That's what's happened in every one of their games recently. They were down by 16 in the first quarter. Remember, against the Pelicans, they trailed by 14 in the second quarter. Against the Mavericks, they trailed by 11 in the second quarter. That's 3 straight games you've fallen down by double digits. All 3 games, of course, you've come back and won. So this 3-game win streak, you've been down by double digits in each one. But it goes back further. Since the NBA All-Star break, the Grizzlies have been down by double digits in 9 of the 11 games. The Grizzlies have had a lead at halftime only once since the trade deadline. That game where they had the lead, it was the Knicks game. They lost that game. If you go back a game before the trade deadline, well, they got blown out by the Clippers. They've been behind by double digits in 10 of their last 12 games. This is not a sustainable formula. I mean, you're not really winning that many of those games. You've won, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. You're 6-6 in your last 12 games, and you've been down by double digits in 10 of them. So a lot of it is slow starts. A lot of it is bad second quarters. Sometimes it's a bad third quarter. And I know we're comparing all these different things, like Ja Morant is finding his rhythm, and I do think that's true. And I was extremely, again, excited by how he played in the Suns game. He was fantastic. Nothing to nitpick in this Suns game. But the pattern of falling behind, that is troublesome, and to me shows everything is not okay. Like, the defense had been a big struggle. The defense I thought was pretty good relatively against the Suns. It was very good in the second half against the Pelicans. You shut down the Pelicans in the second half of that game. But the offense has been a struggle. And, of course, a lot of this is no Jaren Jackson Jr., no Jaren, no Santi Aldama. We don't draw huge conclusions about these games where you are very shorthanded. But the pattern right now has been you're falling behind. You're needing either superhuman efforts from Ja Morant. You're needing some extreme defensive stops, some big-time unexpected performances to eke out some of these victories. And it's a tough way to live, but hopefully they can get a little bit healthier, and they have the opportunity with this homestand right now. They play the Jazz on Wednesday. It is, of course, a trap game, but the Jazz are also tanking hard. Then you have the Friday, Saturday night home games to wrap up the big homestand, culminating in Tony Allen's jersey retirement ceremony on Saturday. You play the Cavs on Friday night, the Heat on Saturday. Then you go on the road, a pretty tough 5-game West Coast trip before returning home. This is almost 10 games away, but then you return home for the Lakers, the Celtics, and the Warriors, all in succession. It's going to be kind of tough. And this seeding race is definitely heating up. It's definitely tight. On Monday night, the Grizzlies were helped out by the Lakers losing. Also, of course, LeBron James is out with a groin injury for maybe a week or 2 or more. Also, by the way, LeBron James in the same situation as Jaren Jackson Jr., both of those players need to play 7 more games to be eligible for an all-NBA team. But the Grizzlies caught a game on the Lakers. The Nuggets beat the Thunder on Monday night. They're still a game ahead. The Rockets just a game behind the Grizzlies right now. But anyways, with that, I think we can wrap up. Although, no, I do have one more stat. I wanted to follow up on this. Of course, Luke Kennard did not play in the game on Monday, but I did add up the total stats, the total lineup data for the 3-man lineup grouping of Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Luke Kennard. I was talking about it last episode. I added it all up, and we're talking about the 2023 regular season, the 2023 postseason, and then this regular season. Altogether, those three players have been on the court at the same time for 343 possessions. In those 343 possessions, the Grizzlies have outscored their opponents by 134 points, meaning the net rating is plus 39.1. That's in 343 possessions. That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Anyways, there's a maybe useful stat, slightly interesting stat that I added up and wanted to share with you guys. Anyways, going forward in these games this week, as players come back, I think the big question is Cam Spencer going to play more? Is G.G. Jackson going to be able to hang on to that playing time with his relatively strong game that he had? Will Marvin Bagley crack that big man rotation? Does Marvin Bagley provide things that the other bigs do not provide, such as maybe lob finishing, while also doing a little bit of rim protection? I'm not so sure about Marvin Bagley's defense, but it was a very promising, good game from Marvin Bagley. He should feel good about the way he played. Anyways, if you want to support my show, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. The next watch party in Nashville is going to be April 1st. Go ahead and put that in your calendars. Hope y'all have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Go Grizz.